So, good afternoon. I'm just another CEO called Peter, who's doing the next presentation. And I would like to say congratulations first of all, because the presentation content, and secondly, to work with such guys like Slash and Ozzy Osbourne I think it's admirable to manage such tough guys. So I think it's very nice. We are coming from the industry, so actually today is the 30th anniversary of our company's foundation. In 1988, a couple of people, one of them was my father, had the idea to fund the company. The primary focus, they had the idea to be industrial automation. And I think it was a pretty damn good idea, because everybody is working in the industrial automation field today. They're always very busy. And they had another idea at the end of the 90s that they tried to focus on things like distributed systems, using network, Ethernet network, putting the data into databases, then web-based development. So, well, let's say this is IT. So we started to deal with industrial IT, and in 2003, we won a tender in Hungary. The tender was about manufacturing control system, MCS. And yeah, in 2003, we started to collect data, real-time data from hundreds of machines, and currently still operating. So the concept hasn't been really changed. And today, around 3,000 and 4,000 machines, they are operating. We are collecting data real-time, second-based data, and there are around 600 and 700 users who are daily use those data. But I wouldn't say it's still big data. So we are not the big data experts. We understand how to collect the data from industrial applications. And okay, why I'm here? Because you guys, you need the data for the analytics, and we are the ones who can provide it to you if we talk about industry. So the IoT is here. IoT is Industrial Internet of Things. And if you haven't started to go for it, then you're definitely not alone, because according to the LNS research, 81% of the people who answered, okay, it was not done yesterday, but like 2 years ago, but still you can see that. Can you see? No, I don't think you can, but let me explain it. So 81% of those who answered, they don't really see what IoT is about, or they see what it's about, but they don't see the impact of it. So only 19% answered like, okay, I'm already doing it because I wanted to do it, or my supplier or my customer asked me to do it. So it's basically the minority. And what are the main reasons why people don't really go into IoT? Because there are a couple of barriers. Of course, the main one is cybersecurity issue, because if you connect, yeah, we are coming from automation. So let's imagine the automation world. You had the sensors, you had the serial communication, you had the PSA, you had the SCADA system. Nothing was connected to network. It was safe, yeah. And now IoT is going to industry, and it's these are two different worlds, totally different worlds. In the industry, they were planning a system which could operate for like 15 to 20 years. And the IT guys that go there is just, okay, let's throw it away and use new stuff, which we can connect directly to. So these two worlds are meeting, and I think this is the biggest challenge if you go for industrial IoT, that the automation and the IT world meets. So we can see that Mate Gulyás was talking about the standardization and a couple of stuff which I'm quite grateful for him, because now I don't need to cover. So standardization and the legacy installed base and the interoperability, these are the biggest challenges for if you go for industrial IoT. And how does it affect our business? This is also covered just before lunch, so I won't go for it. Actually, I wanted to bring an example in Kecskemét, in the Mercedes plant, where you can choose, as far as I understood when I visited the plant, 1 million different cars. So there are so many options you have. So this is all about mass customization, which Industry 4.0 can bring to us. So this is the strategic driver. And what I've already mentioned to you, that the IT guys and also the data engineers, data analysts, you need to understand that how the automation works. You don't need to program a PLC, you don't need to develop SCADA software, but you need to understand what kind of data you can collect from and how can you collect it from the different applications. So this is how to fill the gap between IT and OT. OT stands for operational technology. So what are the three major considerations to make the IoT to reality? First of all, you need to make your data collection easy and efficient. And yeah, easy. I mean, when in the good old times, again, I'm coming from the automation. So you had a couple of sensors. You had a controller like PLC, programmable logic controller, and the SCADA system where you visualize the process, and that was it. It's quite simple. Okay, it was not that simple because you need to understand how the PLC works, how to develop the SCADA software. So you needed some expertise. But if you go for more devices, more systems, then interoperability comes in, and you need to have systems which can talk to each other. Sometimes your colleagues cannot talk to each other because they are people, so how can we expect from systems that they are talking to each other? Yeah, so the next one is how to provide reliable and secure data acquisition. Again, if you talk about device-to-device, device-to-device communication, then it was quite easy. But if you talk about system-to-system, and if the cloud comes in, which is quite new for automation, quite new for the industry, and actually maybe nobody, I won't say nobody, but hardly anybody use public cloud for industrial applications at the moment. I mean, if you talk about real-time applications. Some of them mentioning that, okay, we are using cloud, and it turns out that it's a private cloud, so basically it's a server room with their own servers, but I wouldn't say it's cloud. Yeah. Okay, so if you talk about time sensitivity, Matti also has already covered this topic. So we have some processes where we need real-time answers from the system, and by real-time I mean a couple of 100 milliseconds. That's more or less real time for some applications. For some it's not, but in most cases it's okay. And for the cybersecurity, I don't know if you are familiar with the standard code IEC 62443. Probably you're not. But if you have the chance to use connectivity devices, networking equipment, and edge computers which can fulfill this standard, then you are more or less safe. I wouldn't say 100% safe, of course, but you're more or less safe. And the third thing is that you need a smart bridge between IT and OT, and this is sometimes called IoT gateway, but it's basically just a computer. And which needs to cover a couple of stuff. One stuff related to, yeah, okay, you cannot see this because it's a LED wall, yeah. Well, you can see it on me, but not on the wall. Okay, so the field bus connectivity, if anybody is familiar with automation stuff, field bus is are delivered by the automation manufacturer. So there's a machine, and the controller is usually speaking some field bus protocols. If it's a Siemens PLC, it usually speaks Profibus. If it's an old one, if it's a new one, then it speaks Profinet. If you go for the Rockwell, which is another biggest vendor for controllers, then it speaks DF1 or DeviceNet. And if it's the new one, then it speaks Ethernet IP. And there are some older sensors, emitters, or other PLCs which are speaking Modbus RTU, and the newer ones speak Modbus TCP. You can see the lot of different languages what Peter mentioned before. But you need to handle these, and you also need to connect to the cloud, because everybody is expecting to be able to connect to the cloud. Nobody's using it actually, but you need to be able to connect it. And you also need the local intelligence. It's like edge computing or like fog computing, which is mentioned before, that you need to log the data and just send up to the cloud only those which you would like to use for further analytics. And this is just one easy example to understand what's the difference between IT and OT if you talk about data acquisition. So there, IO logic is just a small piece of device. It can directly connect to sensors like temperature sensors, humidity sensors, or just some digital input, so yes and no, 0 or 1. And it can support OPC, or Ethernet IP, or Modbus, so the OT protocols on the left and on the right. It can also support RESTful, so if you would like to use the web-based development, development, or SNMP is commonly used for monitoring in IT systems, these devices. So these need to be supported. So basically, this is the conflict between IT and OT. You need to understand each other. And if you talk about the IoT gateways, actually I haven't mentioned, but we are distributing these devices and also using in with our project team. If we talk about IoT or IIoT gateways, is basically just a computer, usually used with Linux operating system, and it has serial ports and Ethernet ports. It can connect to automation devices with automation protocols, and also with can connect to the cloud, like via MQTT, or you can use the REST API to connect to your application. So with such devices, your time to market is much lower if you go for IoT development, and you definitely need to use such devices like these IOs and IoT gateways to create an industrial IoT application. Yeah, this is just what I mentioned before. So there is a traditional washing powder and an intelligent one. So with the intelligent one, of course, your development cost is much lower, and everybody is talking about the lack of workforce. So you don't have time for the development, and your customer is always keep you waiting. Okay, I will place the order tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, and next week. Okay, and now everything I need right now, or maybe yesterday. So this is the situation, and for such cases, it can be very useful if you don't have to start it from the scratch. So basically, this is the most important takeaway for you, these challenges. If you would like to go for IoT, I'm not sure what kind of applications you're involved, but if you have any chance to go for the industry applications, it's a virgin area actually. So it has a huge potential, so I can only recommend it. And if you need support with the customization, we can be ready to support you, because we can cover a lot of areas with some products and with 30 years of expertise. which we had. So with the connectivity devices, so like connecting directly to the IOs, to get directly to the sensors or to the serial port or to the field bus devices, with the edge computing to do the processing of the data and sending it to the cloud, and also with the networking infrastructure. It can be either wired or wireless, routers, firewalls, and so on. So basically, this is it. Thanks a lot for choosing us, this hall, the Nagy Hall. So thank you.